Good morning, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us at Japan Blooms Canada Design Demonstration this morning. It's so nice to see you all, and also those who are watching our live streaming. My name is Yukari Mitsui, and I'm a distributor to Japan Blooms Canada, and we are seeking potential opportunity to introduce our quality products to the Canadian market. This very first event in Canada with gorgeous Japanese product is presented by the Himeji Flower Auction, Nara Cut Branch Export Association, and Japan Flowers and Plants Export Association. I'm so pleased to introduce our organizers. This is Hideki Kaji. He is the GM, General Manager of Overseas Business Department of Himeji Flower Auction. And his assistant, this lovely lady here, is Natsumi Shishido. She's also from Himeji Flower Auction. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about the Himeji. Probably it's not familiar to some of the people. The Himeji is a city about 2 hours drive from Kyoto and known for the most beautiful white castle in Japan. If you pick up their business card over there, there is the picture of the beautiful castle. You can see it. And the Himeji Flower Auction is the 5th largest flower auction in Japan. They successfully changed over to the remote online auction system during the COVID-19 pandemic, known for handling many unique products. And he is Koji Hori. He is the chairman of Nara Cut Branch Export Association. Nara is also the city about an hour drive from Kyoto and known for the significant temples, artwork, and deer roam in the Nara Park. Some of the Japanese branch looks familiar to what we've been seeing locally, but look closely to see the quality difference, the length and longevity are uncompetitive. So both the Himeji Flower Auction and Nara Cut Branch Export Association generously brought us about 1,800 stems of their best quality of flowers, foliage, and branches just for this event. Thank you, organizers. I would like to introduce our very special design assistants, Suzanne Lowe, and Debbie James. They are very familiar, right? They've been working so hard last couple of days for us. They are wonderful designers and educators. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Yukari. Thank you.
So we have a super media director, Hitomi Gilliam. Hello. Who has been working day and night in creating beautiful, beautiful event webpage and sending out all the e-communication to you. Colin will be our videographer of our live stream this morning. So you are on a live stream. So I feel so honored and excited to introduce our future designers, Bruno Duarte from Fresh Floral Creation, Toronto, Ontario.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you.
And she is our own Hitomi Gilliam, Vancouver, BC. This is almost once in a lifetime collaboration to watch Bruno and Hitomi designing together in Vancouver. Bruno and Hitomi will show you beautiful and creative designs and share all about the technique, how to enhance quality Japanese products in design. Hope you enjoy demonstration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kari.
Thank you.
Well, we're just as honored to be in front of you, to be able to share these beautiful selection of flowers. I mean,
It's been such a dream this week.
It's been so much fun.
Yeah.
And to be able to pick all these wonderful blooms, long stems, super quality. As they mentioned, 1,800 stems were shipped in for this program, of which absolutely zero breakage, if you can imagine that.
Yeah.
That is really some fabulous packing and fabulous caretaking of their product to get it to us in such a wonderful shape, isn't it?
And it's lasting beautifully in here. It's just been
my gosh.
gorgeous.
So we're going to talk a lot about care and handling. We're going to talk a lot about what you can do with it to get the most out of these products. Because needless to say, the product are long stems, so it's really a shame to cut it down short and use it as little tiny things. You know, it's the pristineness of the whole stem and the beautiful flower in the end of it. If you're able to show it in its very best way, to get that as a comparison to some of the other flowers that we get, would give you the best value for the flowers, I think.
And also just having these varieties that you usually not accustomed to. So it's kind of designing, I'm like, oh, I can use it taller.
Yes.
It's like, wow.
Yes, please do. Please do.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do today is, because we're approaching Valentine's, and so we want to, I'm going to be sharing with you some of the Valentine ideas that might really feature the Japanese flowers at its best with the stems and all. And also to be able to showcase, you know, I mean, they are top-end flowers. And so you want to make sure it shows up and not get buried amongst the other flowers. That's really the key. So what I'm going to be doing is showing a lot more sort of retail, commercial kind of designs that you can maybe incorporate into your selection of offering for Valentine's. That's kind of what I'm aiming at, and also a little bit of event work and all of that. While Bruno is going to be doing sort of the art of with structures and that as well.
Yeah, and then we'll just kind of be using the gorgeous flowers to enhance the armatures and structures.
Yeah, because you know what Bruno's known for? He's really known for just building really artful structures into which he designs, and a lot of what you do with corporate accounts.
Reuse.
You know, reuse to reduce, so that you build it once and then you can flower it in different ways. And use it over and over, move it from office to office, so that you get a lot of longevity out of your artwork. That's
it takes time, but it's worth investing the time and making it very sound, because then afterwards you're able to take it, deliver it, bring it back. You might have to do a little bit of wiring, but most of it just stays intact. And then all you're doing is changing the flowers. So it doesn't take you very long every time you have to do that weekly standing or that weekly flowers, because it's just you're just using the budget with the flowers, and it enhances your structure.
Exactly, and Bruno and I mean, because I've also done a lot of structures as well, and we've always battled when we do presentations that people say, well, that takes too long to do. How are you going to sell that? So that's why we sort of switched to reuse to reduce, like build it so that it's a beautiful piece of art, and then you flower it in all different ways, and you can get so much variation out of one thing.
And it's very eye-catching. It will stop people on the tracks, because it's like, what is that?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So it's like, a lot of people are like, you use that for a corporate? I'm like, yeah, you need to educate people that there's other ways of using flowers. Yeah.
So what he is really good at is just designing in front of you into these structures. So that's what he's going to be doing, while I'm the chatty Kathy that's just going to be chatting away, just to get you interested in all these beautiful flowers, and you know, field the questions. If you have any questions, we can answer that, and hopefully we're able to introduce all the beautiful varieties of flowers that we have in front of you. So I'm going to start, if that's okay with you, with Valentine's, because Valentine's is just around the corner. And you know how expensive flowers are, just everything, the roses, we see the prices of roses going up. And so, you know, when it's about roses and roses and roses, so you're going to be battling just the whole price thing, price crunch. So actually, Japanese flowers are perfect sort of mixture, like part of the blending with the roses. So you use less roses, let those roses that you purchase stretch a lot longer, and complement it with flowers such as gloriosas. Like gloriosas are my absolute favorite flowers, so it's a no-brainer for me to use in every arrangement
Mine too.
I mean, but the thing is with gloriosas in all these years, in most part, a lot of it comes in those little bags, the little shorts from Holland. And as you know, sometimes the longevity of those is not quite as good as the ones that's on the full stem like this. And you get so many blooms. I think there's 4 blooms minimum per stem, and they come on the long stem. So then you're able to actually design with them into a vase. So what I did here was I actually picked up, this is actually an IKEA heart. And it's on sale right now, the heart, for $5. Like you can't get anything like that. So what I did was just actually taken my yarn-covered wire and just kind of created and outlined the heart even more to give it that really lush Valentine look and just kind of real romantic. And just use several, I think there's half a dozen roses in here, and then embellish it with these beautiful Gloriosa lily. I mean, and they're long. This is actually one stem of Gloriosa cut into 2 sections so that the blooms are prominent. There's one stem that just had the flower are long enough to go into the water as well. So it's really amazing what you can get out of a combination of one stem. And then, of course, the use of these very long stem, gorgeous sweet peas. I mean, the sweet peas, the fragrance is just so luscious. Like when you come up later, go up to a vase of these and just,
when we were standing there,
it's just so beautiful.
When we were standing, all of a sudden, it's like you get a whiff of this. Like, what is that sweetness?
It is totally amazing. It also have this beautiful smilax vine, and they just have it like, it's not strong, it's just their long pieces of smilax. They're the most outstanding, beautiful, full smilax that you can possibly get. So I draped down to the side to give it that sort of romantic, soft look. And then on top of that, this is called Stemona. I have to always look at the list. Stemona japonica, that's this one here. Look how beautiful this is. Isn't that the most beautiful vine? It's so soft, right? But yet very sturdy. So that goes into the water right here. Let's see. Yeah, like this. And then just simply drape over it. The reason why I have these kind of tendrils coming up so that it makes it easy for some of these vines to sort of catch in it and let it kind of drape through it so that it adds that elegance of the vine growing through the structure. That's kind of, that way you have a design that is very dimensional, that not just shaped, but very dimensional, airy, transparency. You still see the heart underneath there, and you can see that this could actually be like really a hand-tied bouquet, right? Like that. But it just sits in this vase, and it makes for a really lovely Valentine design. So what do you think about that? Let's see. There is this wonderful allium, too. Look at this. Is that the most coolest allium? It's called Crazy Beans. Crazy Beans. That sounds...
That's exactly how I feel when I see that.
Yeah, crazy beans. But these are absolutely amazing. I think, it's a lot of the Japanese product is not only about quality, but specific, interesting varieties. I just think that it really gives a real presence in comparison to just straight stems, this and that. It just has so much more mood and ability to create much more emotion. And the colors are rich. You can see how the peaches complement the red. I think this rose is a, Red Panther, you said?
Yes.
Red Panther. Yeah. So it has a little bit of marbling on it. So it really kind of segues beautifully to this combination. What do you think, right? Okay. Excellent. So we're going to talk about what Bruno's up to.
So I'm going to talk about how I created the armature with the dogwood. So what I've done is, with red twig dogwood, when you cut it, there's always like a little white, like almost spongy part. So what I've done is taken 10 gauge wire and kind of inserted it into, I cut it all into pieces and then created another piece of dogwood. So then now it's now once with the wire, you insert it into each other. And then sometimes if it doesn't go in, you use a rock and you just kind of tap it in.
Handy rock.
Yeah. So then afterward, so they're basically, what I've learned yesterday, because I wanted to do this, so I'm like, that's the thing about doing demonstrations, I try and kind of push myself, is I learned that if you don't use super thin pieces of dogwood, because when you kink it, because the wire's so thick, it breaks. So I found that the thicker the dogwood, the easier. And you always kind of kink it where you know the wire is, kind of holding it.
Isn't that the coolest?
And the other thing about it is that when dogwood dries, it shrinks. So then it's going to grip onto the wire. So then it becomes a sturdy structure.
That is good, using shrinkage to its best. Because so often it gets loose, but in this case it tightens around the wire.
So what I did is I kind of started the bottom, and then halfway through, I took one of my, these are basically orchid wires, and I just taped it with the wax tape, and kind of inserted it into the structure. I did a hook, and then kind of built up on it afterwards. So I kind of did where I kept the dogwood pieces straight, go through halfway, and then start kicking it so that it's, instead of kind of going all the way, so then it gives you more of a body.
Now, Bruno is really a great technician, and he can make these so fast. I mean, he built everything that he has here yesterday. So it goes to show you how fast and how creative he is with this. But
and I had help and assistance. My lovely assistants, too.
But as you know, though, you always wonder how much is that worth to sell. It really is hardly worth selling. It's better to just keep renting it out and getting it back, and rent it out and get it back, so that you get so much more mileage out of the time that you spent making it. And as you can see too, I mean, he's using it as a vertical, but it could be laid out as a horizontal across vases. I mean, there's so many different ways, right? Yeah,
and that's the beauty about using these structures, is that it just changes with every flower. And different types of flowers. If you do tulips, it's going to be a totally different design. So that's what's the beauty about having something that's sound and constructed really well. So then it's like when you're adding the flowers, it's just you can use test tubes. It could be so many different ways.
It's the way that we can be a magician on site, where you bring out the structure and you bring out a bucket.
And they're like, where's the flowers?
And it's like in 10 minutes it's done. And they're like, can I have your card? I love the magic that you created in that piece. So the other thing that's great about this too is it's also helpful for your staff, helping your staff learn how to work with it as well, because they may do it a little bit differently. It gives them an opportunity to be the finishing artist for this particular piece. So in different hands, it turns into different things, right?
Exactly, because at the shop, my head designer, she will take one of my structures and she will totally flower it totally different. And I'm like, I never thought of using it that way.
Exactly.
So it's kind of, you're inspiring each other, right?
So it becomes the part of our sustainable floristry the whole idea is reuse to reduce. Because if you reclaim it and reuse it, then you don't have to make it again. And so thus reducing the next bunch of product that you need to create it, right? It makes total sense.
And the other thing is sometimes you get a good client that calls. Of course, you ask them to give you enough time to create something creative. And they call on like, oh my God, I totally forgot. I need something to go out today or tomorrow. And then you already have these structures. And it's like, wow, how you made that in a day? So it's just like having those things already prepared. It facilitates a lot of, surprise orders.
Yeah. Well, we're going to Toronto next, and I get to go and see his studio and see what kind of cool stuff he has over there to play with. So as far as the flower placement, I see, the allium are going to be okay out of water.
Yeah.
So they're just woven in. And isn't it perfect to have that curly kind of, that twisty thing and how it weaves into it so beautifully?
Yeah, it just kind of, and then it's easy to attach too. So
And what about the Gloriosa? What have you done with them?
I just used floral glue.
Okay, so they're being glued.
Yeah, glued.
So would this be like a bouquet?
Yeah, that's exactly what.
The whole, yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Anything more that you want to say about it while you finish?
No, I think.
Okay, so let's just go to my next one. Yeah, we'll go back and forth. No, I think it's that one. Yeah. Okay, so this is just a simple vase arrangement. And I think one of the best way actually to use Japanese flower is to almost design it a little bit Ikebana-ish. Because, you know, Ikebana is really about showing off the visual flow of line, not to stuff everything short and you don't see the beauty of line anymore. You want to stretch it out so you can see the stemminess. And I think it's the whole trend of Ikebana being more visible in North America. It's becoming stronger and stronger. There's a lot of younger people, like even farmer florists, that are experimenting with designing with Kenzan instead of foam. You know, Kenzan is now becoming a common household item at the wholesaler now. And so given that that's the direction it's going, let's just show them how to do a little bit more Ikebana-ish design. When I say Ikebana-ish, it's beyond the actual Ikebana because the North American taste doesn't allow for the simplicity of Ikebana. It seems a little too empty. They just feel, you know, people look at it as, can we put a few more flowers into it? So that's what we're doing here, is making it still about line. So there's maybe, if you have to identify it, maybe there's a Shin, Soe, Hikae, the heaven, man, earth component, but we're embellishing it with a few more accent flowers so it looks a little bit fuller. And I think it's really important for Northwesterners to be still comfortable with what they're getting as a gift, so that this is why I did this one here. Now this has 2 stems of gloriosas, but you get the height now, which is amazing, right? And then I basically only use 4 roses. So again, 4 roses times 3, let's say 4 roses out of a bunch of 25, how many arrangement can you get out of it now, out of those roses, so that they have the roses that they covet and love, but they have this absolutely amazing gloriosa, the glorious gloriosas, to go with it. And the size that you get out of this is tremendous, right? Because it's really relying on transparency of the design to give you the size. And I think that's one of the things that you can do that is fantastic with Japan blooms, is because of the stems allow us to give us size very easily. So this was designed into a chicken wire pillow that I made. And we'll be making one of those this afternoon so that you can do a hand-tie bouquet with them or design an arrangement. Because you can see this, when you lift it up, it really can be a hand-tie bouquet like this. So there's a chicken wire right there, and all the flowers are designed into it. The great thing about this is that as you're designing into it, whether it's in your hand or in an arrangement, and you get a phone call, you can actually set this down, and it stays together. You can pick it up again, and it stays exactly the same. In fact, if you have a lot of big arrangements like this that's needing delivery because it's in water and it sloshes around your spillage, sometimes you just might want to take it out of the vase and just lay it in the box. And then when you get to the site, you fill the vase with water, and then you just simply slip it in. The beauty of this also is that you have ability to change water, clip the stems to refresh it, put it back in this beautiful vase, and it sits right in there perfectly, like that. I love that, don't you? So just think about really the price point here. For this size of an arrangement, the price point, because the flowers are not stuffed, you're getting huge size. Like when a delivery person comes out to your door with this, it's like, whoa, it's a wow design because of its size. Size is very important to our customers. So, and of course, the allure of beautiful blooms that they have not seen before in this way. I don't think until the Japan blooms have come to North America, we've not seen gloriosa in this kind of potential. We have not, because it's been in those little bags, just single blooms that are very short, or it's a little kind of wimpy, like it didn't stand alone kind of a stem. And these are just fantastic. So look at the number of blooms on this. This is going to last and last, and you're going to enjoy this so much.
And also the thickness of the stem.
Oh, yeah.
That's
very,
the other thing. It's like
strong.
it's very, and the other thing is, because I use it a lot in Toronto, even the buds open.
Yeah.
That's which I was fascinated with. because so then you get the different stages. Especially for corporate, he comes back. I'm like, all of a sudden you have this like pretty orange because it's especially this color. It starts at this color here, and then it just gets a little bit more, but it doesn't get red.
I guess I can take off this thing. I just realized that. Yeah, but anyway, I think it's sort of the pillar of the imports from Japan are the gloriosas. It's something distinctly different that has not been available, that gives us so many opportunities to showcase the beauty of gloriosas in a different way than what we're accustomed to. So, thank you. Okay, so you're coming along to...
Yes, I'm just about adding some
Oh, yeah, so
hellebores.
he's using the pansies.
Ugh.
Oh, I don't know if you saw, like I posted myself, like...
I've removed a few blooms, but just getting pansies with a stem. I'm like,
Look
excuse
at
me?
the stem. Seriously, have you ever seen, like, you know what? You can count on the Japanese to come up with a new way of everything. And they're masters at horticulture. They know how to grow. And apparently, from the explanation, it's really what it is intensive horticulture. Because what it is as it's growing, they tip, so it branches out, tip. So they keep strengthening the stem down below so that it sends out so many more blossoms that we have. Look at this. Like now we can do hand-tied bouquets with pansies. Isn't that beautiful? Oh.
I know that our customers are going to go crazy for it because they'll be like, how?
We love pansies,
I know.
but you never could do anything with them. I mean,
Yeah.
the stems were too wimpy. Now we can do it in the most beautiful way. I mean, the thickness of this stem, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
So what he's doing is just cutting and gluing, because with a bouquet like this, that's where you're permitted to do the gluing. You need to basically mist it really heavy after it's done and plastic it overnight so that it really firms up even more. Because through that hydration process, you get much more turgid, more than when it's sitting in water, actually. So the longevity of this, if you make it the day before and you hydrate it overnight and keep it in the cooler, and then you actually release it out of the plastic cover, and that when you deliver. And with that, you can get easily 24 hours plus out of it, looking really, really perfect. And so the hydration process, and I'll be showing you something using that as well, because it is amazing how long flowers last glued when you treat it properly before and after. Yeah.
I think that's the key. It's doing the hydration before.
Yeah.
Because then it has the moisture that it needs.
Yes. Generally what I do is I like taking like a Tupperware, like a plastic container, and then line it with like paper towel. Mist the paper towel so it's damp. And then you lay your flowers over it. You put another layer of, like say if this is laying horizontal, you put another layer of paper towel and mist it so that it's kind of just damp and drapes over the whole bouquet. And then you put plastic over that. And that plastic, it's a good idea if you actually mist the plastic on the inside, and then that lays on top so that you're not directly misting on the flower themselves. That's the key. And that way, it's just totally surrounded with moisture and kept in the cooler overnight. When you open that box up and reveal that, you touch it, you will swear that it's never been that turgid ever before each bloom. And that's how you get the longevity out of it for 24 hours or more. So just keep that in mind, because that just means that you can do a lot of things a lot more ahead of time. And in fact, when I first started in business, I thought that if you did the bouquet closer to the time, that it would be the freshest, but it's not. It's better if it's done ahead and hydrated. For a longer period of time in the cooler, you get a lot more better results.
And there you have it.
That's awesome.
I was going to use the flannel flower, but then as I put it against it, I just found that it was taking away from the structure. And sometimes it's just like you have to, when you do you spend so much time on a structure, you don't want to hide it with all the flowers.
Yeah.
You want to highlight it.
But I do want to just go over here and steal this flannel flower.
It's spectacular.
Oh my God, look at this. Isn't that the most beautiful? And the stems, like they have a little bit of swing to it, but yet they're so sturdy. it's just, daisies are so popular today that some of the simpler flowers are what people covet more. It's like the wildflower look, but I love the gray foliages, all of it. And the stems, the texture of it all is just so very special. So I can see why you chose to have them.
Yeah.
But yeah, gorgeous. Yeah. You're going to handle a lot of them this afternoon, so you'll see how.
And you get to take them home and enjoy them.
You just love it. Okay, so let's have my. Oh, it's mine. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to show you this one. So again, going from a very simple kind of look. So what I wanted to show here was a design that was really very simply made. Simply made because sometimes I go to like Winners or HomeSense, or I go to West Elm because I like a lot of their artful little sculptures. Well, I found this very artful sculpture that's embedded with a heavy rock at the bottom, and it's got a welded metal ring. It's just a nice art piece. But I thought perfect for just adding to it with vines and the Seca, the fasciated willow, to give it a little bit of height attached to it. So you're building a structure onto a ready-made piece of art, which means that it could be used as that art, or it could be used with that embellishment to build a structure, and then you can use that as art. But in this case, what I did also was put in a few water tube here and there. You can see it. The water tube that's attached to that metal, you can see the back of it. So that then I used, actually this is Hoya vine. I like it very much because the structure being kind of on the black side, I love the stem of the Hoya. And it was like from Home Depot. It was a hanging basket. Like I'm always looking for a deal. Like if there's a real long hanging basket for $14.99, I'm going to buy it because I know I can cut it up and use it as foliage. But the thing with Hoya that's amazing is those cuttings will root in those water tubes. So they become a living, like a sculpture. So even after the flowers are gone, I still have a living plant. Perfect for corporate work because you can, again, rotate it and it's the same plant going around, but you might just flower it a little bit differently. And so you can get a different look out of it. Again, the stemminess of the sweet peas, and these, by the way, these are ranunculus. Charlotte, isn't that amazing? I mean, every time we unpack these flowers, we're just flabbergasted at its absolute beauty. So you can see that it does not take a lot of flowers to really create the wow. In fact, if you crowd it, you're shaming it. You're losing its value. It's best when it shines on its own. And that's the beauty of the Japanese blooms, is that it doesn't take a lot to make it look fabulous. So learn to become a little bit more Ikebana-ish and design with few to make it stand out. Because then, whatever the price that it is, it's going to work for you. That's really the key. Now, this is actually clematis. Their clematis is way different. Look at how wiry the stems are. It just vines so beautifully. I mean, just so playful. Look at that. It's just so fine, but yet it holds up so beautiful. So the elegance of the thickness of the Seca, the fasciated willow, to the fineness of the clematis vine, like that kind of tension that's created there is just absolutely beautiful. It's very, very Japanese to me. It has the sensitivity of the contrast, just clearly displayed with a combination of material that's used here. Great.
So for this design, I found this container, and I just wanted to do, I've always loved using reeds, which is a dry product. I'm not sure if you guys...
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, which is, again, it comes in black and brown. They used to have it in color as well, which is great.
But you bought them all.
I brought them, yeah.
They're gone now.
And I've done the designs with the reeds, and I always find that it really showcases the flowers and the blooms. So I wanted to use that in this design. And so what I did is created it flat on the table, basically almost like a tatami, but you go with the wire over the wire and then come back up and then twist and then keep on doing it. And so I do it flat, and then I kind of molded it to the container, so the opening. And what else? What I did to secure the structure in is I took these hydrangea stems that are just foliage, and I inserted it into the container, and then I attached it onto the structure, so it's basically holding up. And it could, when you're done with it, you can actually take it out. It could be like a bouquet as well, which would be kind of cool.
That's fabulous. Yeah, so that's tatami method. That's Japanese, right?
Yeah.
Tatami. There's a lot of Japanese about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that beautiful how the flowers just slip through that and how easy
the blue
that
delphinium is such a beautiful blue.
Yeah, and the thing that I really truly believe in with structures is you have the presence with the structure itself. I always call it create the art and then flower it.
Yeah.
Because the art is already there, so it doesn't matter what your budget is in flowers. However, if it's $20 or $100, you're still going to get the size. You have the size already established with the structure, which is the beauty of it, because, of course, we have all different kinds of customers of different budget. So if it's like just somebody that's a good customer, but they only have this week only $50 and not $100, you can still send this out as long as it comes back. Like it becomes one of those kind of a reclaim thing. I really believe like sustainable floristry, if you go into that area, could be very lucrative because it's kind of like sending it out, an arrangement at a certain price, but if they bring it back, they get a discount towards their next purchase. Right?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Because you have good clients that are like, yeah, you know what, I just need it for this event. And they're like, well, I'll just return the structure. It's like, and half your job is done. So you don't have to recreate anything. You just have to pick the flowers. So it makes it a lot quicker. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's really, really important to start to kind of think in that direction because cost of supplies are becoming very high. Cost of labor is becoming very high. Those are the two most coveted things in our business. Yeah. And so to use this reuse to reduce kind of concept could be really a winner in our business today. So it's just getting your customer accustomed to that you do this kind of ways of doing business. And they're going to love you for it because you know what? I mean, just as much as I sometimes like to get some of my pieces that I've used 20 times out, like some of those customers have all those in their little pantry, like are they going to really use it? They would love it better if you gave them discount on the next sale because then you're in the business of flowers again and not about selling other things. So it makes total sense. Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. So those are some of the side pieces that you've been able to tuck in.
And then because you have the two wire bands, this becomes very sturdy so that there's not a lot of stems that you can shove into it. So it just gives it that sort of the height.
You know that tatami, the reed really shows off beautiful. I mean, look at this. Look at this fiddleheads. How beautiful it shows off of the black.
And also they're so sturdy. That's what's amazing about them. It's like
they really are. Yeah, they're a little bit different from some of the other fiddleheads that kind of goes soft if it is out of water.
Exactly.
Like these are solid.
Yeah.
I would imagine they could probably dry well too. I mean, looking at all of this, everything looks like they would dry very, very well.
And that's one of the things I'm excited about, having Japanese flowers is now experimenting and seeing on like testing it out. Because it's like, then it's like, okay, you know what, now I can actually use it this way.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's outstanding about the Japanese branches are they cut it at the earliest stage, but yet it will develop. And we will share some of the other varieties that we use. Oh, look at that.
Like, come on.
And you know what? Their anemone, sweet peas, and ranunculus are super competitively priced.
Yes.
I mean, they're like $1.50 to $2 a stem. They are amazing.
Yeah, I was very...
the sweet peas are more, but the ranunculus and the anemone,
for me, it's
outstanding pricing.
It's the stem and then the size of the bloom. Like, and for the price, it's like, it's a no-brainer as a florist.
Because when you get a bundle of anemone and then they open and then they just start to flip back and then become small again, it's like, no, these are not, they just guarantee to give you a fantastic show. I mean, these are just fantastic. The quality is exceptional. Yeah.
And also the thing when you
fabulous.
do structures, you can do this structure for different budgets. Like right now, I could add a few more flowers and it's pretty much done. But you can then you can always. But I'm going to add some more flowers because we have them. But it's like because you also have to the thing with any retail shop, you always have to be conscious of budgets. Right? It's like, and so everybody has different budgets, but it doesn't mean that they can't get something, artistic and
As
creative.
I'm looking at that, as you showed it, so these ones here, they can spill out or they could be woven in to it, so it's peeking in and out. So this structure has a lot of
you do have to be
secret
careful.
abilities.
You do have to be careful with the sweet pea because they do break a little bit because they are really rigid.
Yes.
So it's like you have to be kind of because I tried doing it with in a design. And
no,
then
you can't go too far.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, weaving
there
in
is,
and out.
Exactly.
They can do that.
Yeah.
It's one of their tricks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent, fabulous.
Thank you.
I love that. Okay, so let's look at, is it over there or over there? Okay. Okay, so I kind of did things that are kind of, the kind of looks that everybody's liking. And I've seen as what's on Instagram, the shape, the crescents, all of that is what people are saying, I want that, I want that. So we want to do it in a way that's the easiest, that sets up best for the flowers that we're using. So I got a compote, and in this one, what I have is actually a chicken wire roll, and I'll show you how that works in the afternoon, because I create a chicken wire roll that fits like that, and then I wedged forsythia inside of the vase and wedged it on the inside, so it creates a grid, and so that chicken wire roll is tied to that, so that everything is really, really solid. So there's no tape or anything like that, it's all wedged inside. So into that, I start out by just using like the seeded uke, some of the local stuff that were picked up. But this is Melaleuca. By the way, the Melaleuca is a huge branch with a lot of side pieces that goes a long way. And so you can cut it up and use it as a sort of a filler. You don't need more than one. And then I use some of the other flowers. Of course, the Sandersonia. They're not the most gorgeous Sandersonia. So beautiful. The sweet peas, these are dyed. They do some dyeing, but only natural dyeing. Like natural as in it looks natural. You're not going to ever see Japanese flower dyed where the dye is dripping out of the stems. You'll never see that. They'll never do the garish combinations that we see. Like, why did you do the hot pink carnation with a blue? Like, they will never do that because I will say for myself, Japanese were very tasteful. And we're also very conscious of things looking more natural. So I think when they do the dye, it's to get that little extra shot of color, and they did that with the sweet pea. And it is not the most beautiful, soft brown that you can possibly find. And it ties in again beautifully with the ranunculus, the Charlotte, in this particular color here, and goes beautifully. And we wanted to use some of the locally available roses from South America, the Juliet roses from Alexandra Farms, because that's a winner. People love it, as well as toffee. So what you want to do is buy a selection of flowers that people just go crazy over it, but don't use do a dozen roses of that, because to me that's really boring. Like, you want to complement it with flower that's equally lush and more, so that you get the variation that they've never seen before. And I think that really becomes the winner for potentially our Valentine recipes, so that they still get the love with the roses, but then you have something more. So, and value-wise, I think you're going to get a very well-priced design doing that in combination, because you're not using so much of it. You're making good size with it. So that's kind of how I did this. And so on the back side, looks good. So complementing some roses that are coveted, that the customers will ask for, but you don't have to just give them that, because let's be a little bit more creative with our design so that they get something that's really lovely. Okay? All right.
Almost there. Just adding the ranunculus.
It's becoming a flower show.
Yeah.
Woo.
The color of this.
Oh, so.
And also, to me, is just the stem length.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, and the frilliness
And
of
the gracefulness of the stems.
Yeah.
They're very strong, they're clean. When I first actually Came to North America because I wasn't born here. I came here when I was 12. So, you know, in Japan, I was accustomed to seeing Ikebana, and here it was a whole different look. And I wasn't even remotely interested in flowers when I came over when I was 12. I think my parents thought I was going to be like a mathematician or some scientist. And then I decided and flipped to go to flowers, and I said, this is kind of science too, a little bit. But anyway, what I saw was, you know, really a design that didn't feature the beautiful stems that Ikebana is known for, of course. And I adapted, I've learned how to do Western design, but really I think people are really now clamoring for that transparency again and the elegance of line. And you see it even with farmer florists, you know, where they were just piling it on before. Now we're wanting something different. And so I really think this direction is really happening just overall. And of course, because they're so prolific with social media and they're showing what they're doing, I think it definitely creates interest.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the finished.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Isn't that the best way to show off those beautiful
Yeah, it's just
blooms?
like, the boom just keeps.
Yeah. Gorgeous. Okay, so I need to bring up Debbie James because she actually did this bouquet for us, because we really feel strongly, maybe you can just kind of show it off a little bit. We really feel like wedding is another area that you can really go big with Japanese flowers because of the stem length, because of the variety. You know, I mean, yeah, look at that. I mean, that flounciness of all these beautiful blooms. The sweet peas are just absolutely gorgeous. And again, the fragrance is unreal. The combination is awesome. And it's interesting because Debbie said, you know, usually, like she did use the amnesia and
It's got
toffee, mocha. Okay, usually those are out front and forward because those are what people covet. Today, we're looking at their sunken and all the beautiful Japanese flower come forward because it's the real gardeny, beautiful look that the brides are looking for. I mean, I can see this in a beautiful photo shoot with a model and with a beautiful gown. Oh my gosh, that would be just gorgeous.
And I think the thing that I was enjoying is quite often when we order like sweet peas or ranunculus and all of those really beautiful flowers that we want to feature, they all come in the same length.
Yeah.
6 inches long. So how do you get the movement and the depth and all of the beautiful movement from a stem, and they're all the same length?
Exactly,
So
they're all like
you
this.
end up with a little mound because they're all the same length.
Yeah. And this has got so many beautiful angles too. Look at the size of the lisianthus. Oh my
That
gosh.
was one stem.
Yeah, one stem. I mean, equals to really the size of 3 gorgeous roses, but long stems, right? So the advantage of using them, you know, what you're able to do with them is just tenfold.
And the other thing is, if like the trend with the cascading bouquets, it's so simple to make cascading because the stem, you don't have to worry about wiring it or trying to make it extend to the length you want because it's already there.
And look at how the attitude of this beautiful, this is a clematis right here, so fine. And then it has that little bud at the end. I mean, it's just, the mixture of material and the combination of textures and the linear flow that you get out of the Japanese combination is amazing. Again, she has that beautiful clematis. Look at how fine these stems are. It's almost like wiry, but strong. Like to see that combination, strength, but yet wiry and so fine. It's amazing. We just keep gushing over it yesterday. It's like, oh my gosh, look at this, look at this.
I think it's because we have not seen it.
No, I know.
It's like,
and we have not experienced it in our hands.
Yeah.
And seeing how sturdy and wonderful they are to work with.
Because they have all the beautiful branches as well, you can build some type of structure or armature within the bouquet. And because it's going to be handled quite a bit because it's a bridal bouquet, those beautiful branches help to support some of the things that are finer and more delicate and help to hold it up throughout the day when it's out of water.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's perfect. And this here is Spirea thunbergii, Thunberg Spirea, different than the fuller Spirea, like this one here. So there's 2 varieties of it. Again, isn't that wonderful to have that variation so that you get the fineness as well as the little heftier ones. So yeah, great collection of material just overall. We just love it.
And it has pansies.
Oh, and the pansies. I mean, you know what? Those are the details as a bride looks at it. Oh my God, there's the pansies. I mean, it could never happen before in a bouquet. That's amazing. Like, I think that was the biggest surprise with this shipment. I've never seen pansies so beautiful, just like, oh. Yeah, thank you, Debbie. Oh, this is looking good.
So I saw this vase. I love it because it has the double layer. So then all the stems are sitting on this little lip.
Nice.
I used two of the wires that I paper covered, basically our ochre wires paper covered in the brown. And I just kind of basically just created the structure with the 9 bark. This, in 2 weeks, will have green foliage.
Yeah,
which is amazing. And it's that bright green as well, which is incredible.
Oh,
yeah.
That's like, when we saw it, we like, oh, they sent us dried branches. And I thought, oh. But then they said in 2 weeks, it will start to shoot out.
Yeah,
that's how they know that they can get that much, cut that much in advance and still get the end result. How cool is that? How cool is that? For corporate work, you can use it as bare stem. 2 weeks later, you have it in another form, and that will give you an entirely different look. I think their branches are, again, it's their understanding of, when to cut to get what kind of effect. That sort of the length of time that you are going to enjoy working with this material with that one shipment.
Yeah.
I think that's
and then also the hydrangea kind of gives you that sort of like, this is what's coming kind of feel.
And they also have little buds on the side.
Yeah.
So,
which I've never seen also. So like when I first started, I'm like, oh, this. And then when I started, you were working with it, and it's actually quite beautiful, right? Because it gives you that sort of hope of spring.
Yeah, it really does. But frankly, honestly, before the gentleman and like the team came to tell us that, at first we're like, oh, what are we supposed to do with this?
Yeah.
but they kind of gave us a magic to be able for us to be able to provide that magic, knowing that.
And that's also the thing I was excited about this week in doing this, is finally getting my hands on and seeing what transpires. Right? It's like, oh, I didn't know I could use it this way. And now it's like a new thing. It's like, I want this for my shop because it's a great structure.
Yeah. And what the structure that you're going to build is going to be a living structure that's going to continue to grow and kind of evolve into another something else.
Exactly.
I think that's very cool. Very cool.
And their Sandersonia is...
I'm wondering, I'm going to ask Mr. Kaji, I'm wondering if these will actually start to root or not. Yeah, wouldn't that look fabulous in there if it starts to root and really start to live? Oh my gosh. How exciting.
I know, it's incredible. Well, it's the fact that it's a constantly changing.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So I have a question. I know that's a wire and you cover with fine wire, and that's so that when you tie, it locks in, so it doesn't slide around.
Because I've done it with I just did the wax tape, and it slides too much.
Right.
So when you do the bind wire, it gets in that groove, and it doesn't move, and it becomes very sturdy.
Yeah.
It's getting it started. You probably need 2 set of hands, just to kind of, because otherwise it falls over. But once you get your base, it becomes very easy.
No, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have good hands to do this. My hands and wrists are getting a little bit weaker, so I probably need to work with him.
For you.
But yeah, I mean, structure like this, it's indestructible.
Yeah.
You can use it over and over. And even after the leaves are gone, you still have a structure, right? That's the beauty of it. It's like many use. And if you can imagine this as just beautiful table centerpiece too, because it's transparent, so that it allows the size. And
many layers of, like, you can make it really condensed, or you can make it very, very sparse, and it still has a very beautiful flow.
And if you want to store it, you just lift it out and hang it up in the rafters, and you bring it down and slip it in.
Yeah.
It's a great like all of what he's showing, a great selection of structures that you can use in combination or separately or multiples, and will make you a lot of money with the reuse to reduce concept.
Yeah, I totally agree.
No, this is looking great. These structures that he's building are certainly awesome ways to showcase the beauty of Japanese flower, because you can see he's using everything with its maximum length. and nothing's being chopped down and made small. I always believe that you should never cut stems until you know for sure that that's what you want. And so many North Americans, when they design, they cut the stem and then they decide where it goes. Instead, like what I like to do is cut the stem, put it in high, tall, because you can always cut it down, but you can't grow something that's down here back up again. I mean, it's done. So, try to see where you can have the maximum effect with the stems that you have and not chop everything down. Because I think that's a shame, because you're paying for the stem as well. And if you know how to design with the stems to get the glorious elegance and height out of it, that makes you an awesome designer.
Well, it gives you the wow factor as soon as it arrives at the door.
Totally.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, without doing anything,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, imagine this versus this.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And it
Yeah.
may cost the same. That's the other thing, right?
Yeah.
So the height is giving you a lot of visual value. And that's really what Japanese flowers are all about. Nothing that they sell are little cut short things, because they want you to learn how to design with that to get the most out of your dollars. Yeah. Okay, so let's look at, the wild and gardening, because there's a lot of people like it. So what I did here, I mean, it almost looks like a little bit of a hot mess, sorry. But it is really a hand-tied bouquet. It is just a hand-tied bouquet. And it's made with a chicken wire pillow. And it's got a bongo tie. I'll be showing you how to use the bongo tie, because it's just an easy way of doing a hand tie. But into the chicken wire, I use some of the basic flowers like your carnations and not sunk deep, so that it kind of covers the chicken wire first, and then slip in all the other flowers over and above. And what I also did was use, actually, Debbie, if you can just grab one of the yarn covered, just a green one. I didn't make a whole bunch of them so that you can take one home or take one to use it. So I make these, because then I just strap this around and bring it out and weave in, because then you can allow some of these vines to grow on it, so it stays up, so it doesn't just flop. It just gives you like a little shelf for some of these to just attach to, so that's why I make it out of green, so that it disappears into it. You can see it right here. There's two colors of green. So I got two pieces, and it runs through so that some of these material will just simply either rest or weave into that structure, so that you get kind of the look of wildflowers, and the vines are growing all through it. So it has a very natural feel to it. So it has some of there's one Lysianthus that's here, here, and there that dominates in conjunction with the amnesia roses. And then the rest of it is just let the pansies and clematis just all float out of it, so that it looks like just a kind of wild gardening. And there's a lot of people who just love this kind of look, more than a more structured look. So, it was hard coming for me, because I was a structured designer first, and I really liked the architectural look. And so to go to gardening is quite difficult. You got to kind of break down the harshness of structure and down to the gardening. But simply, you just have to go outside in the summer and see how everything just sort of takes over, and that's kind of what you can do with this mechanics. So I hope that we'll have a chance to kind of work on it, because you'll find that the system is very easy, because the chicken wire is like a hand that's holding everything for you, so you don't have to ever worry about setting it down or anything like that. So anyway, we'll work on that, and that's part of the project this afternoon.
And also, it's also great for deliveries.
Oh, yeah.
That's the other thing.
I mean, I love the fact that you just pick it up, cut it, put it back in to freshen it. So, okay. All right. So maybe we'll just go ahead and show the next one. What?
Thank you.
Oh, is it the head already?
Thank you.
Are we there already? Okay. So I thought we would do flowers to wear, because with the gluing. I brought my head. And so this is what I mean. So it has a layer of paper that's been misted, and then that plastic over it. So this is what we have right here. So all the flowers are glued to a band that was made, like a headband, and series of more to bring it a little bit more height so you can see, like, so it's built out of a headband, and then all the flowers just glued on it. So what I have to say is, like, I had made this design actually on Saturday, the original part, some of the base part, like the seated uke and the stalks, and a little bit of mum. And then I built out with the Japanese flowers because Gloriosas, I think, are just fabulous in this. I mean, it just makes it so vibrant. Also have some pansies, like here. This one has gone down a little bit, so it needs to be misted. So basically, you know, what you have to do is just mist it to keep it nice and lush. But yeah, it's all about that hydration. But I think even though, you know, we preached using the stems in that, but there's a lot of small parts that when you combine it together for flowers to wear, it could give you another whole dynamic of texture and color. And so I think this is fun. And I think, seriously, at Valentine's, it's not a bad idea. If a guy comes in to buy some flowers, and you hear that they're going out to dinner or they're going to do like a little photo shoot for their Valentine shot, so you know, you can sell them a floral crown, or you can sell them a jewelry that's been put together so that it makes for a memorable Valentine 2024, all decked out, going to dinner, something
Instagram
like this.
Moment.
Instagram moment. I mean, it's all about that right
Yeah.
now. Yeah. I mean, you see a lot of flowers to wear to be a very big part of floristry today. You know, it's so interesting, and in fact, it's so very exciting because there was a time when it was so big to do big corsages, and there was a real heyday of that, and then it simply went away for years. We didn't do anything. You know, there were like a lot of Christmas corsages, there were a lot of New Year's corsages, and Easter, and then it went away. And nobody wore flowers for a long time. And you have to credit to the wonderful Instagrammers that actually brought it back. And it's all about photography, shooting it, you know, with models and doing these wonderful things to glamorize the use of flowers. And we love it as florists because it's another use of flowers that we can go into. And you know, this is not cheap. This is going to be like $300. I would do it for $300.
But it's unique.
Yeah, but you know what? That memorable moment in the picture with, you know, your date wearing this thing is going to be something that's worth the $300 moment. So that's why I really wanted to introduce the flowers to wear to be still a very big part of what we can do, because floral design is all about diversity, all the different things that we can do to make flowers really important in our lives, memorable. Okay. All right.
And pretty much, I just wanted to cover, my last thing I wanted to do, I just wanted to cover the wire. So I have this beautiful Smilex.
Oh, that's a great
And
way
just
to show
kind
it.
of just wrap it around, and you kind of can weave it in and out at the end, or you can use a wire, but I kind of just like weaving and making it more natural.
The Smilex is so lush. I mean, the only Smilex that we can buy that's as lush as that is on a garland, right? And you know how much they cost.
Yeah.
This is a better price for those wonderful lush lengths, and it doesn't have that necessary that string. It's just all sort of strung together unto itself,
Yeah.
and it gives you a nice body. So yeah,
There you are.
beautiful.
And I just love the colors. Like this ranunculus, absolutely spectacular. The colors are so
Yes.
vibrant.
So we know this as butterfly ranunculus. They call it ranunculus lux. I like that.
Yeah, because it is.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it is lux. But look at how beautiful. And you know what? Like they're just, even though it has that little bit of soft weave to it, but it's very strong.
Yeah.
That's what I found
Yeah.
with every one of their flowers. There's no weakness to
No,
it at all.
it's
Yeah.
true.
Very beautiful. Gorgeous. Stunning table center. Can you build me 10 more of those structures,
No problem.
please?
Coming right up.
Okay. Okay. All
You
right.
okay?
So maybe I'll show what Suzanne did for us. That's what's next, right? Okay. So another flower to wear. Let's see what she made for us.
Thank you. Thank you.
So there. Look how pretty that is. Right? So again, just using the wire, yarn wrapped. And it's something that, you know, that whole concept, it's really a good one. I'm going to give you a sales pitch. The reason why it's good is because you can do it in any color you want, and the yarn has every color selection that you can possibly ever want. And you could also mix it up and do some cool patterns, etc. But I think if you do it in green, it marries beautifully into an arrangement. But the best part of it is that you can shape it in any way you want to create any kind of a beautiful pattern, but it also, the glue glues well to yarn because it's got the texture that absorbs the glue, so that it's not like gluing to wire where you might have it twist and fall or whatever. You won't. But even better than that, the big sales pitch is it holds moisture. So when you mist it, the whole structure actually holds moisture and creates a very humid environment when you're hydrating it, so that it actually holds the flower looking fresh and turgid longer, because you have the ability to keep misting it so that it has that, keeps that quality of moisture. But look how pretty that is. And so maybe this is what you can do with, you know, it's not the flower shipment from Japan that broke the stem, but in the shop, as you're reaching over, you see one break off and it's like, darn. Those are kept to the side and used this way so that you will not waste those broken flowers at all. So thank you, Suzanne, for a wonderful job. This looks fantastic, right?
So I'm going to, so this is going to be a bouquet. And I'll just show you the back of it so you can see. What I did is basically do tatami mats, 2 different sizes of tatami. And then I attached it, basically, I did circles of wire and then attached to it, and then I did my handle. So, and I kind of layered it so that, and what I've learned as well is, like, if you keep these ones a little bit longer so that when you're overlapping, so then you won't have this, the reeds come out. So then you have, and then also, when you have it on the table, it creates a spectacular shadow on the table.
Yeah. And you can have a real tall glass vase way up high, too.
And the other great thing about using the wires is you can also bend it down, so then you have totally different.
But it takes a taller person with long arms, because I can't imagine how like, I am going to design into that one.
I'll try not to hit you with this one.
But you can see how important structure building is. It gives you opportunity to do things that are bigger, grander, and especially when you use material that has the clean texture and clean color like this, it shows off the color and the form and of the flowers themselves, but also the delicateness of the stems. You know, because that's what it's all about. It showcases that.
Well, yeah, because when you love flowers, it's all about having having it look as natural as possible.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me, how long did it take you to make that? Because I saw you making it, but I'm just timing-wise, just so you know what your target is.
I think it took me about an hour.
Yeah,
an hour about. Yeah, I would say.
Allow yourself 2 hours or more.
Yeah.
Because that's Bruno that takes that long. But the thing is, again, use it 10 times. And each time when you're making the design, you're actually charging for it being used.
Yeah.
So if you do it 10 times and you charge like $10, $20, $30, whatever you decide, times 10, like, oh, you actually reap handsomely.
And then
for
you
your
sell
effort.
it, and it's already paid for. So.
Yes, exactly. And then you tell your customer, bring it back. I'll reflower it for you at a discount if you bring it back.
Yeah.
It makes total sense because it actually puts us in a position to be the merchant of flowers. We are about selling flowers. That's our job. All the other stuff is to entice people to want it in all different ways. And so, again, hand-tie bouquet is great, but hand-tie bouquet is a hand-tie bouquet. But you can do a lot more than that. when you start to get into structure building.
Yeah, because when you do a structure, it could be a hand tied or it could be an arrangement.
Yeah,
easily.
exactly. I mean, I see so many possibility with this one because you saw those hanging smilax. If this was hung up high, flowers, and then smilax hanging from. I mean, there's just so many different things, right? You can wear it. You can wear it. I mean, you can do all kinds of things.
And also could be a wall piece as well. If you just cut the back, it could be a wall piece.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, or bend it.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we do everything with wire, so you can bend it. Yeah. Awesome. Look at how pretty. I just love
These are just...
Actually, in the original list, I didn't see any vines. I'm like, you must have vines. And they supply all different kinds, with the clematis being part of the offering as well. But I love this Demona. It's very soft. But look at how the tip just dances. It's so beautiful. And it's soft, but yet it doesn't break. That's what's really great about it, right? I haven't had any breakage for all the handling and pulling that I've done.
And all the little blooms, there's just like, it gives it that extra naturalness to it.
Exactly. It's so beautiful. And it softens like a structure like this almost immediately. And it just kind of just melts into it and adds the beauty of nature just all of a sudden, like right there, like it's been growing on that structure, just like that. Yeah. Oof.
I said it's a weapon now.
Yeah, great. See, there again, go for size. Don't cut it short. Don't make it small. It takes you exactly the same amount of time whether you make it 6 inch wider or less, right? So go for big. I believe in that because size really does matter, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, when you can give customer bigger than what they expected, they're always wowed. That's beautiful. I can see that as a structure to use with water tubes and those plant cuttings so that the plants are growing on it. Ooh, and then you put flowers whenever you want for special
And you don't need many.
No.
Many flowers when you do that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, also like for event work and that, with certain flowers, if it's for a short install, you can do it
without the water source.
Yeah, free stemming without flowers. In which case, I always call that process of designing freestanding into any kind of structure for event, I call it sketching. So that you just kind of sketch in to look to see where you want it, but that's all you need to do because it only needs to last for 6 hours. And then you retrieve those flowers, and then you cut, hydrate, and use it for something. I mean, we have to understand the diversity of flowers themselves, how strong they really are. Because when you think about it, a lot of flowers come cold chain, stored for a number of days that it's in transit, and it handles a lot of this kind of little bit of abuse.
Yes.
But flowers are really very resilient. But again, this is another area that I really want to put a lot of emphasis on with Japanese flowers is that they do arrive extremely, so fresh.
I was so impressed.
I mean, they're air freighted, right? And everything packed so beautifully. And so there's no wear and tear from shipping at all. It just comes out as pristine as if they were just picked out at the farm.
Because they're wrapped they come in the plastic and then they wrap it in newspaper so there's a bit of moisture so that it's just, it was incredible to unpack it.
Actually, I got to tell you that that's where the whole hydration kind of concept of wet paper and plastic come from. When we were at Hope Farm a number of years ago at Holly Chapels, and Gregor Lurch was there, I was there, Sue McCleary, we were there demonstrating, and that's where actually Gregor mentioned that the hydration process that we now really basically call the hydration chamber, the whole way that we do it with paper, wet paper and plastic, he saw that with the way actually Asian growers pack their flowers. Always with wet paper, with the plastic, because the wet paper just permeates moisture in and around the flower and protects it, and then plastic keeps that held in. So the combination of the paper and the plastic is really the key to making everything stay so nice and fresh. and turgid. Yeah, look at that. Okay, don't tell me you don't love gloriosos like this. You know, seriously, before to do this, I had to get water tubes, long water tubes, and put those little things in there. And then I had to hide the water tube to get the length out of it. I mean, it was just crazy. Like, you wanted to do it so badly, but the material that we got didn't allow us to do it. Now we have something that have beautiful stem, combination of all the different stages, bud stages, that will open also and fill out even more. Oh my gosh, I mean, we're just so lucky to have it. I just can't imagine a world without these beautiful gloriosas.
It's another great thing to have in our artistic palettes to use, which is amazing.
It is. I mean,
Yeah.
it has always been my favorite flower, and it's always been so short. And but no more, no more. You know, I could just design with gloriosas every day. It's just, and it's not a well-used flower either because of what's been available to us. I think today, you know, for some of you, if you've not seen this, the robustness of these, but now it can become really an everyday flower that you can really arrange with because it has stem. Because I think that's the reason why we haven't seen so much of it, because it's those little bags and those short stems.
And they're pretty well priced as well.
Well, yeah.
That's the other thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah.
Because a lot of times
I really feel like there's definite value, you know, because there's minimum of 4 blooms plus buds on the long stem. You know, when you think about per flower pricing, I think it still falls below that, and with a stem. So I think it's fantastic. Well, now I know why you made the structure that big, because seriously, those beautiful but the spirea, the length of it, it needs the support of a backing as big as that to make it really show off really well. If you do that in just a small backing, it's not as, you know, dramatic, much more dramatic and size-wise. There's no doubt about it.
And it's a little bit more transparent as well. Like then you can see the flowers.
Yes.
Perfect. Just hold that one.
I love some of these just trickling down on the underside too. Looks really good. Because it makes it look like it's growing through the structure. Beautiful.
Oops.
The drama of the structure as a backing is really important in this design, because just imagine that it's a beautiful hand-tied bouquet without, but with, it just gives it so much more presence. Definitely. No, I definitely, watch
I'm
out,
good.
Watch out. Okay, so maybe we'll go to the next one while we're watching him finish. Oh, it's this one. Okay, so we're gonna bring this over here. Okay, so this like, I built this as a structure, like actually I take a ring, and that's just like a metal ring that you can buy at wholesaler when they have it, but otherwise you just go to Michael's and they have different sizes, so it's a ring. And on that ring, I also wrap the ring with bind wire, same reason that he did his wire, so that it doesn't slide, because I want to be kind of wrapping yarn over it, so if you don't have those little notches from the wrapping, it could slide around. I also wrapped initially this one here down below with bullion as well, and bullion, wire and wire, would slide for sure. So that's why it's really helpful to have the bind wire on there first. So I can maybe show you this. The mechanics on this one is like this,
at the end.
right? So what it is it has a structure. That is the ring itself, and I wrap it with yarn, etc. And I actually have chicken wire roll tucked underneath so that it fits tight into this, so I don't have to tape it or anything like that. So, and then all the stems are, of course, going into water. And you know, in this way too, I wanted to do it as a yeah, there, it just locks in, so it stays like that. But I thought if you had a couple of these, like one from here coming over, or down the table, or like a foyer entry arrangement. I wanted it to be more sweeping. Like usually I do it as a round and I just kind of flow over it. Doesn't use a lot of flowers because the structure actually helps build it up. But I thought because the stems are so long, I don't want to cut it up, so I actually extended it so that I can show off the beauty of some of these beautiful orange glorious is in this one, and then the length of the sweet peas, all of that, and of course the length of this beautiful ranunculus come from that water all the way over here. You know, you want to build things that are more sort of extended and stretched out to get the maximum use of how beautiful these flowers are and the stem length, because otherwise you're going to use it the same way as same old, same old. Like that just would be wrong when you have opportunity to do so much more than that. So using a combination of the beautiful Lisianthus, I think there's, I think there's 3 blooms per stem of the Lisianthus, of which I would take the longest and then cut below that so that I can get longer stem on each of the branch. I think that's how I basically did it to get some of the length. And then using the toffee rose just because people love it. And just so that you know, I mean, browns and the grays in any other flower, like the roses like Amnesia that has a gray tone to the lavender, as well as toffee, the brown tone, they're really a bridging color for all flowers. And the best way to describe that and make reasons behind that is that if you took 3, 4 different colors of paint, like watercolor, like I hate watercolor, because it runs into each other and turns into mud, because that's what happens. When you have several pigments, you mix it up, it turns brown, which means the brown possesses all color, so that it can bridge any color together. It becomes that pivotal color that helps tie everything together. And you can see how it performs that way here, because it has a little bit of the orange on the side. When you see some of the guard petals, it has that, but then it melts into that beautiful sort of mocha, like hot chocolate. So beautiful. But it just kind of helps marry all these colors together. That's why browns become very powerful. Interesting, just information on the just hybridizing and breeding side. Brown's been happening in every flower forever. It has been considered as a failure. That's why it never showed up until we decided we love it. Because it's been bred over and over again. Every time it happens, like, oh, that's garbage. That's what the breeder said. But they should have showed it to us first, because we would have said we wanted it a long time ago, right? That's what happens in the world of flowers is, you know, there's all the different sectors, the breeders to the wholesalers to the grower, or grower to the wholesaler, and then us designers. But we are the one that ultimately works with it, and so color to us is so important marketing tool. Yeah.
And it was also for wedding work. It's been such a popular.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you can see how everybody gravitates to that beautiful brown. And of course, in the end, lucky for the breeder, because they've done really well when they decided to finally reveal that brown is possible in flowers. Yeah.
So I basically added the aromatic Litsia.
Litsia, yeah. That's those berries.
The green, yeah. So now
Gorgeous.
they kind of just bring out the green. Okay. You need long arms for this kind of bouquet.
Yeah. But, you know, take note for some of you here. I know some of you here are educators, or some of you have opportunity to present to an audience, you know, whether it's even your customer base. I mean, sometimes with a lot of shops, it's really a great idea to do workshop and show them the wow factor. Because what that does is create demand, like they're loving it, and then they want to know how much that is. They'd like to order that. So if you have that opportunity, a lot of times, you know, just making things that are on the grand scale so that they can see the potential of what it is, even though they may be everyday $50 to $100 customer, but they need to be teased by some of the real great stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Okay.
So he's got tools.
Yeah.
Like, he's got tools. All I heard is one of
my new favorite tools is a nail gun. So what I did is basically this is actually dogwood that's gone brown. So what I took the thickest pieces, and then I drilled into it, put a wire on it so it becomes a handle. Now this is something that you can use in designs. Take it out, bring it in, and it's very sturdy. So I started at the base with just kind of attaching them all together, cut off the wire, and then you can literally easily build. You can just find a groove, and you just keep on.
That's cool.
And then just simple wire. So you could show up, and all of a sudden you could create something really large because you have already done all the work beforehand.
That's awesome. I love the fact that it dismembers and you can add and subtract. I mean, it's like a Lego set.
Exactly. Yeah.
Lego set for florists.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that becomes the flower holder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, obviously I didn't put any water here because I'd be wearing it. But
But it's one of those things that you're going to kind of do on site.
Exactly.
To create the magic right in front of their eyes.
And it gives the Ikebana feel.
Yes,
right?
definitely.
Automatically, right away.
So very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'll just show you how I did these flax circles. It's basically, I use a stapler, and I split it in half. I kind of roll around the fingers. Then I try and kind of crisscross it so that it's not all a perfect circle, so it gives you a bit more volume. And then
that color was perfect too, isn't it?
Yeah.
The dark flax.
Yeah.
Actually, I have another question for Yukari or Kaji.
And then you just staple it.
So I noticed that in the list, it says flax lily. Is flax in the lily family? I thought, I didn't know. I wasn't sure. So I wanted to check with you. Okay, thank you. Oh, that looks rich.
Yeah.
It's a nice contrast from the angular to that curvilinear. Very beautiful.
And you don't want to take, like I'm going to make this sort of like you did before, you did that sort of crescent.
Yes.
I kind of want to make this your focal, so you kind of want to fill this in and just have very few flowers because you spent so much time on this, and this is what you want to kind of show off.
Right, right. No, I'm so glad that you're showing so many wonderful structures because I think structures has gotten a rap because for busy florists, it takes too long. But to invest a little bit of time to create a set of structures that's very useful for your business.
And there's always a slow period in our industry, right? So it's
Yes.
like, what do you fill it with? Structures.
Or as I have to be making something while I'm watching a documentary or a movie. I mean, Colin knows that. I'm always whipping around stuff. He's like, Mom, do you mind? But it's like, before we used to make bows. That's what we did in the evening.
Yeah.
Like today, I make yarn-covered wire in all different colors, so as I need it, I have it. Because that's the key, is it's not something that you can buy, which is good. It's good when you can't buy it, because then you have exclusive in your area. And then number two, you want to make something that you can turn it into all different things, that it shapes right in your hand. So it's your hand that's going to be the craftsman for the final piece. So when you build, kind of a, collection of things that you can use to combine, because it's not just about using it this way, but this with that combined could become something else. So that there's a creativity to the structure building itself and its combinations that makes it so much more intriguing. That's what I really feel is the art of flowers, because flowers, there's artistry in it within itself, but there's art beyond that, and that's when I call it flower X art, because there's a definite art element in creating the art into which that you flower. And I really believe that adding flower to that structure make that structure come alive. Like, isn't that a beautiful feeling to know that the flower, when you put it into something that's static, makes it all of a sudden come alive in our hands? I love that. I think we do a lot of good things in this world with that mindset. Yeah.
And also the great thing about flax is that it will last pretty well without having a...
It'll dry.
Yeah.
It'll
So
dry.
it's a nice base, and then then when you insert your flowers, you have to make sure that they're in water. But it's a great.
And guess what I love about that? People love dried.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, sometimes I wonder, like, I leave things in place and I'm like, oh my God, it's dried and it's curled up. And then I'm like, oh, people like that. So there's that element. If you actually add things into a structure that will dry, then that element also lasts longer and can be part of that extension of that design. And then you add fresh flower to it. So there's just so many possibilities with marketing all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the thinness of these delphinium stems, because one other thing about some of the big hefty delphiniums is like a tree, and it really is a tree because it doesn't have those side shoots. I love these kind of branch light area. Like, isn't that beautiful?
Well, and also it's like for you, you're going to do like a $75 order. You only need one stem, because you have so many breaks, and then you have that punch of blue, right? So it's not like you're using a lot of flowers per se. Yeah, it's the fact that it has so many breaks. There's so much value added to it.
And I think just generally, most of their product are not heavy trees. They're very elegant, very delicate, and very dividable. That gives you a lot more value for the buck with each stem.
And flexibility as a designer.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally. Yes. Oh, that's what they, spray delphinium.
Okay.
Yeah, I love
That
it.
makes sense.
Yeah, beautiful.
And when you create these structures, now there's a lot of, as you can see, it does hold your stems in place very easily. And then if anything, if something's moving, you can always just do a paper cover wire, and you attach your stem, and then your stem stays in place.
Or we can be the cheaters that we can be with U-glue.
Yeah. When in doubt, you glue.
Yeah, there's always that. But this is very Ikebana-ish, because the structure becomes a kubari. Kubari means a flower holder.
Ah,
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah, you got to use the Japanese language a little bit.
Yeah.
Adds a little bit of mystique. And actually, I do really enjoy the idea of the Ikebana kind of designing. Actually, when I teach some basic, just simple, clean, austere design, I like to talk in terms of Ikebana with the 3 levels, the Shin, Soe, Hikae, which is heaven, man, earth. Because when you design like this, you're always looking for height. That's going to be your heaven, the Shin. And then there's the earth. And then I call it the man in between, is what makes everything very busy. So that way you establish the different height level, the stem length of your design to create, so that you're never making things that are real flat and very congested, because you want to define the different levels of design. So I call it 3-point designing, because when you do 3-point designing, you actually also, because with a 3-point, you're not just going on the flat plane, you're going here to here to here. So over that 3-point, you're creating dimension, there's depth. So you're actually creating a little microcosm in the world. And I always say, when you're inside of that, you feel like you're sitting inside, you should be able to see like the sky and, and the different levels that you put in. So I always say, really establish the height, and then where the earth level is, and everything else in between is the crazy man running around doing stuff. So, how much you populate that area, that's according to kind of your taste, but I think it really helps to understand how good design works. Oh, I love how you use that anemone right there, nice tight against the curl of the flax. That's lovely. Yeah, look how pretty that is. It's interesting how sort of design aesthetics have become, leaning very much to a natural garden and kind of a mix and not much structure and all of that. But still, it really helps, especially when you're defining the use of different colors and different material in this design, that that you think in terms of a little bit of grouping without it looking like the structural grouping, because we've actually moved away from that quite a bit. In fact, a lot of the younger people, they hate it. They think that's really old. So you have to move away from it, but in this way, it shows a more naturalistic way the plants grow, because you'll see, you know, a tuft of this and tuft of that, without it being really tight. That freeing, still gardening way of using that grouping really makes it look very organic and natural. This is a great structure for using a lot of product.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
very dimensional. I love seeing the stems underneath through all that too. I like the lift. Because imagine if it's just sitting flat, it would not be nearly as dynamic as the way it's lifted. Lifted, giving that little bit of air underneath makes it look even more exciting.
it plays into the illusion.
Yes, yes, totally. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I love glass. Because glass makes it lift every flower, all the flowers that's on top of it look like it's floating, rather than in a solid base that gives it heaviness. So water, to be able to see water is really a beautiful thing. I love glass.
And there you have it.
Wonderful.
I just kind of carried that
fabulous.
me through.
So you guys are going to have to get those tools and just
Yeah.
get into it, right? Okay, so is this the last one? Okay, so I wanted to show you this. Just move it over a little bit. Because I wanted to show you how big an arrangement can be with very little stems. It's not a lot of stems. I mean, it looks like a lot, but it's because of the wonder of these beautiful Japanese flowers with long stems that I can build an arrangement this big, you know, with actually so few. And I love this transparency and airiness around it, because I think so often we cram it with greenery so that it's just solid already. So you lose the transparency. In this case, the greenery just flows out of it and not be the body of it. So you don't have the heaviness at the heart. You want the lightness through the middle. The way this was done is by using a glass. Like this is a glass this high. It could be taller. It might be better if it's taller, because what it does is it gives you the weight of water to hold up the size. And you know, that's pretty magical when you have heavy glass and then filled it completely with water that makes it so heavy that you can now build high. And it's built with actually 3 layers of wire mesh. So it's made to fit exactly tight around that vase, and then that's built up 3 times high. And then with the 9 bark, I had connected it together. They're bind wired together, so it's nice and solid all the way up. And then just use water tubes in different spots to actually get the height out of this wire. And the rest of it, like all the stems are going into the water. So it's a combination of water tubes with flowers all the way up, and then the weight of and the water source inside the vase. That is a combination. But it's because of the length of the gloriosas, length of all of these material, that they are, you get the size that you have without it being with so many flowers. Because if you can imagine, and you know you can, you know, when you're designing in foam and you have a container, so how big can the arrangement be? Could be only as tall as your stem length. So if you're out of there, the biggest it can be is here, but with this, you can go even higher. I could even go higher than this by continuing to go up with the wire and extend it and support it with the branches so it doesn't collapse, and then just adding water tube where you want the flowers to then emerge from the top. So it gives you that lightness. So, and this one here, I mean, I won't do it right now, but I can just lift that up from the water, like over the vase, because the whole thing stays together. So if I want to deliver it, I would just lift it up, lay it down, and then travel with the vase, fill it with water, and then slip it on. That's how you would do this. So again, the best part of this is establishing the size of your design with your branches And then how you fill it depends on the budget. If you have $200 more, you can still put $200 more. But if you don't, you still have the size. If you have promised the size, and no matter what the budget, you can still deliver the size, which is possible, again, with the Japanese flowers because they're so long.
Yeah.
Long stem, that's what it's all about. So, okay, there's one stem up there that's drooping, the spirea. Through lunch, we'll pull that out because there was one bucket that we didn't have enough water in it. So overnight, it kind of went droopy.
They're very heavy drinkers.
They are heavy drinkers. That's why that's in a 4-inch, like a water tube, so it dried. But that was from yesterday morning. So actually it did quite well. If it was for that day, it would have been fine. But quick turnaround, within like half an hour,
That's basically it.
went back to that with hydroflor or a quick dip.
Yeah.
So it's really amazing. The key is that the flower is it's shipped in such a good condition that it has so much vigor. So even if it dehydrates, it takes nothing at all for it to come right back.
And it's not shipped dry packed either, right?
Yeah.
It's been processed already, so
Yeah,
then it gives
exactly.
it that. Yeah.
So so anyway, it's an interesting mechanic because it gives you so much size with so little. And I think, isn't that what it's all about today? Is what can you do with this budget and still give them something that they can brag about? And they want to do business with you because you have that magic. Because floristry, really in the end, is magic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because anybody can design like this, anybody can do this, but can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do that? Can you do that? A good florist has that ability to turn it into all kinds of
Absolutely.
really cool things.
And then this sort of that branch there would be perfect in this because it doesn't have, there's no water source.
Let's bring that over here.
What is it called?
This is Pieris, you
Thank
guys.
you.
They are selling it as Japonica, but it's Pieris Japonica,
Yeah.
the lily.
And it's been out of water
lily the
since
valley.
yesterday.
They said that this holds up, and
For
this
2
is
days.
firm. 2 days, no water. Perfect green, free stemming, arches, everything. I mean, look, that's like, what 2 buckets?
Yeah, 2 buckets.
And then just think about this, and I'll show you the mechanics, the chicken wire roll. Because if you put on that screen the chicken wire roll in there, and then cover it with that, then you can with water tube just stab flowers in there, the long stems and all. I mean, that's magic.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that we should be made of.
Yeah.
That's what makes us great.
Yeah, this product,
this is
it's
awesome.
incredible.
And this one here, okay, you have it up for 2 days, take it down, you recut it, put it in water. I mean, it keeps going on and on. Like
Next weekend's event.
Next weekend, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. And then when it really gets down to it, you can cut it short and use it in an arrangement. I mean, diversity of this is
it's incredible.
phenomenal.
And
So-
less wastage, right? The fact that you're reusing it, it's not ending up in a landfill or anything
Let's
like
be
that.
smart
So,
about
yeah.
this. Let's make money on being smart
Yeah.
as a designer
Yeah.
and use beautiful Japanese.
Yeah.
Okay? So anyway, that kind of wraps it up for us.
Thank you.
Yukari. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hitomi.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Sorry, I was taking care of lunch.
Oh, okay. I know she's got a lot of different duties here.
So how was it? Did you enjoy it? I just want to make a little note here. Thank you so much, Hitomi, Bruno, for all fantastic arrangements to share. And I'm sure everyone is inspired and creative. Oh, sorry. Here we are. Okay, do it again.
Yes.
So I hope you enjoyed the show, and I'd like to thank Hitomi and Bruno for sharing a beautiful, beautiful creative arrangements. And I want to thank you for the wonderful assistant, again, Debbie and Suzanne. Thank you so much. And thank you, Colin, for your artistic media work and high-tech support. And you're amazing.
Yes.
Thank you. And thank you to my husband, Toru, for supporting during this show. On behalf of Himeji Flower Auction, Nara Cut Branch Export Association, and Japan Flowers and Plants Export Association, I would like to express our sincere appreciation to everyone who joined our event and a live stream. And that we hope you enjoyed the show. And if you have any question, just give me the email question, or you can give me a call. So you can go to our website. It's newly created by Colin. So it's info@japanbrooms.ca. So if you have any question, just give us email or shout.
Wonderful.
Well, and I'd like to thank our wonderful grower groups.
Yes. Yeah, thank you.
Just bring them on again so we can all be together. Come
Yeah.
on up, come on up. Mr. Kaji.
Come on up.
Yeah. No, we really enjoyed working with your product.
Yeah.
Loved the experience, and I hope everyone did too. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for
thank you.
coming to
Thank
us in Canada. Thank you.
And we'll see you soon, Toronto.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.